Okay, 2013 Camry with a C1466 rear speed sensor signal problem. We're going to walk through how to check that. So to explain the possibilities, one, we could have a problem at the wheel speed sensor or the mechanical rotor inside, or we could have a problem with the wiring that goes up to the front of the car that comes out right here, and that goes into the skid control ECU, which is part of the ABS actuator. So we could have the sensor or mechanical problem, or the wiring problem, or the skid control ECU bad. So we need to determine which one. You could just put a sensor in it, but we're not really sure that that's what's wrong with it. So here's the walkthrough. We print the basically troubleshooting procedure, and it kind of explains how the system works, which is basically the rear wheel has a rotor on it that has highs and low spots, and this sensor is going to pick up on the highs and the lows. So when it spins, the highs of that rotor become the high spots, and the lows become the low on this waveform, and this is what the ECM sees to determine speed. So this is slow, and this is fast, and so we kind of go into that. This walks you through a lot of the things we're going to check, but we're going to focus mainly on this part. So if we're on the right-hand side, this talks about what connectors to use and the wiring diagram, but we went ahead and printed the more official one. So we're going to do a test of those wheel speed sensors. We're going to pin the positive here. Actually, the positive is terminal 17, and the negative is 29. And we know that from this diagram. Positive is 17, negative is 29. So where are those? Well, we got a connector end view for that. So this is the terminal, the connector with the terminals for that skid control ECU, because it's A49, and it's saying here A49. So we match that up. So it's saying that terminal 17 is going to be that one, and 29 is going to be up here. So we're going to put our positive lead here at 17 and our negative at 29, and then we're going to hook our oscilloscope up to the PC, which we've already done. So we've got our oscilloscope hooked up to the USB, to the oscilloscope, and our positive and negative leads are already pinned into those two that we talked about. And so with the key on, sometimes the key needs to be on, sometimes not, and this one it does. We're looking at nothing with the wheel, and now we set AC voltage 100 milliseconds per division right here. So plus or minus 500 millivolts for our range. And now we're just going to go ahead and spin the wheel. Now with it spinning, we're not really showing anything. So the first thing is we'll check our connections. But we did, and they're looking really good. And so that's kind of weird, because we should be getting that waveform here. So if the waveform's not making it here, we know there's a problem. But we don't know if it's the wiring or the sensor or the mechanical rotor inside. So we're going to pause, and we're going to relocate our positive and negative terminals from the skid control ECU. We're going to locate them right down here to the sensor at terminal 2 and 1. So pause for that. That's coming right now. Alright, so Kyle is helping. He pulled the wires from the front. We're going for this connector. And Kyle, the positive is going to go on white terminal 1. Found that connector H01.
And so this
Nice back probe. And the black one was on terminal 2. So black to black and red to white there. So we've got them probed. Now at this point, we are going to I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to turn the key back on. And we will see what we did here. Now go ahead and spin it. So check that out. We got ourselves a waveform. Right? Now stop. And there the waveform's gone. Now start spinning real slow. So So that's slow speed. Now go a little faster. Now go really fast. Okay, so this is working really well right there. When we are probed at the sensor itself, but it's not really working right when we're probed at the skid control ECU. So if you look, we've got good signal here, but not good signal here. So that kind of means that mechanically this is good, the sensor's good, and the wiring here is good. And this part of the wire comes with the sensor. So we know the sensor's good. If you replace the sensor, it's not going to fix this car. What we do know is it has an open either from here to here or from here to here, because we had a signal here, but it's not getting back to the skid control. So what we would really have to do now is we can just check resistance with our meter on ohms from pin 29 of the skid control ECU to pin 2 of the wheel speed sensor that we're at here, or we could split it in half and test it here. But we'd either have an open in this section, an open in this section, or an open in this section, or an open in this section. So basically it needs either a wire repair or a wire harness replacement. So that's how you would really go through and figure that out. And we happen to know what's wrong with this car already. It might have something to do with these, but that's all I'll say.